Hi everyone, how are you today? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a great weekend. So today I'm here with an update to my 1 week, 1 palette series, and I have been loving this series. I think I started it back in August. Alexandra Siostin posted that she was going to do this series, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm totally going to follow along. So I'll make sure and link her down below. She hasn't been posting updates, and she's just been very busy with moving and life and such. That's why you won't see like updates on her channel to this series. But I did want to make sure and mention that I started this because I saw her say that she was going to do it, and I can hardly recommend her channel. She does a lot of awesome panning, and she does gorgeous eye looks, super glam stuff. But let's get into the update. So for the first week, I was using my Colourpop Making Mauves palette. I've stated before how much I enjoy this palette just for this row of mattes here. And I did have some days where I didn't take pictures of what I did because I was just doing very simple, like one shadow, one and done looks, using those light colors. I could even probably pull it off with these as well, just blend it out more. If you're someone who likes a light mauve-y toned matte for looks like that, this is a pretty good deal just to get several tones of that type of shade. Colourpop is, very affordable. But I do have a couple looks to show you. So for the very first one, I used tongue-tied here all over the lid. This is one of those, it's a matte with some shimmer in it. And then I put bi-coastal all over the top. This look just turned out really pink and sparkly. I have a picture of it in a different light as well. I'll make sure and put that up so you could see the sparkles better. I thought it was a really beautiful everyday look. That's the type of look I enjoy wearing a lot. For the second look, I put a note that it turned out very purple. In certain tones in here, if you use especially this one, which I did, I put Marquee on the outer corner, and then Big Fig is more purple leaning. I put that all over the lid. And then I topped it with Mauve on top, which I did get fallout from this shade. Honestly, all three of these shades, I did experience fallout, but especially I felt like Mauve on top. Just something to be aware of if you're looking at this palette. Overall, I think this is a really nice, everyday, cool toned, kind of mauve-y, kind of purpley palette if you are of a light, fair to light, and maybe on the light side of medium skin tone. I think that if you have dark skin, you probably wouldn't enjoy this. I would skip this one. But for me, I do really enjoy it. Okay, moving on to the second week. The second week, I bent the rules a little bit and I actually used 2 mini palettes. I used my 2 Nuvia's Place minis. I used the taupes and the nudes. So first, starting with the nudes. The nudes is more of like a peachy nude palette, and the formula in these palettes is very different from your typical Juvia's Place palettes. I feel like this shimmer right here is more of your typical Juvia's Place super foiled metallic, whereas this, not so much. It didn't have as much impact, and I felt like this one was more of a topper shade. Same with the mattes. This one, I think out of the 3, has the most pigment, whereas this one really surprised me how much even on my, super pasty pale skin, I had to really build it up to even see it in the crease. Personally, I enjoyed it. It was really blendy, and I enjoyed having the control of adding exactly how much I wanted. Sometimes if you go in with a really pigmented shade, it's like, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that. With a shade like this, you won't experience that problem. Part of the week where I was using this, I managed to only take a picture of one look that I did. I was really annoyed with myself for that. But it's the one where I used this more gold shimmer on the lid, and I think I used this in the crease for that look. This would be another one that I would recommend for, fair to light to maybe medium skin tones. It's very surprising that Juvia's Place made a palette that had some shades with such light pigmentation since they are a Black-owned brand. But personally, if you have deeper skin, I would go with one of their other palettes, and I would skip this one. It's kind of the same story actually with the taupes. The taupes looks like it's going to be a much deeper palette, but this one, even more so than the nudes, has a completely different formula than their normal palettes. All 3 of the mattes are lightly pigmented. Even this one that looks like it would be like a really dark outer corner shade, it's one that I didn't have to fear using. I did use it to deepen up the outer corner, and I found it nice and blendy. If you want any sort of depth, you'd really have to build it up. So for the first look, I actually did. I went in with this on the outer corner, and then I used this shimmer here on the lid. I actually thought that was really beautiful. I really enjoyed that look a lot. Then for the next look, I went in with this shade in the crease and this more gold shade all over the lid. Once again, if you're of a deeper skin tone, I would skip this one and go for one of their other larger palettes that has more of their typical pigmented and highly foiled metallics and shimmers. But I happen to really enjoy these in my stash. They kind of filled a spot that I didn't really have other things. So for me, they're good. And I will be hanging on to them. And then this week, I used my Cargo Cosmetics Tokyo in Bloom palette. I checked on their website. I do believe this is discontinued. I mean, I got mine at TJ Maxx, so it would make sense. But let's talk about it a little bit, just in case you also own it. I have found that these 3 shades right here are a bit of duds, especially these 2. You can see that I've got a dip going in this one. That's because I really had to like dig in there to get any pigment. I kept adding and adding and adding. And when I have to do that with how pale my skin is, it tells you that it's just more of a dud shade. So that's the color Hanami. I just really didn't care for that. Spring is useful just for, you know, blending out other shades. Mochi, it is more of a lightly pigmented one, but I actually have it in my crease today and I do feel like it actually showed up. So not much of a dud as these, but still lightly pigmented. On my eyes today, I'm actually wearing my 2 least favorite shades in the palette, and it's not because they lack pigment. Actually, I feel like these 2 shades probably have the most pigment in the entire palette. It's just I don't particularly enjoy this type of shade on my eyes that often, but I think it turned out nice today. I put Blossom all over my lid and then Cherry on the inner corner. Then I used Shibuya to darken up the outer corner a little bit. I put a picture of another look I did. This is one where I was using Hanami, this, you know, this dud shade in the crease. And then I put Harajuku all over the lid. That was a really pretty cool toned one. I enjoyed that one. For this next picture, I was doing my makeup in the evening, actually, for a Zoom meeting. And so I didn't have a good light to take pictures, but I will share them anyway. I used the shade Sakura in the crease and the shade Shiseido all over the lid. These are nicely pigmented, and the shade Ginza is really nice in the inner corner. So this palette really has a mix of pigmented versus not pigmented and, you know, more cool tones with some more warmer shades over here. And I did have some looks I didn't take pictures of just because, I don't know, they just didn't really show up well on camera. They were extremely everyday, where I just used, you know, like Ginza all over the lid here with like one of these lighter shades in the crease. So I like it for, you know, every day. But if you're going to purchase one of these, I would say you don't really know what you're gonna get in terms of the shimmer formula, because I find that it really varies. Some are more satin and some are more metallic. All right, so I'm not going to be decluttering any of those. I like them for, you know, everyday makeup, the type of makeup that I like to wear. So now to the last 3 palettes of this entire series. The next episode will be the finale, where I talk about how it went, all the things that I decluttered, and what I learned over the course of the project. But now, here's the last 3 palettes. So next week, I will be using Colourpop That's Taupe. I did try this once in a Get Ready With Me. I can link that down below. I know that I will enjoy this. I'm looking forward to using it. Next, I'll be using my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette. I don't use all the shades in this palette, especially this dark matte red called Sparks and this red shimmer called Pizzazz. But I do enjoy these pink shades here. This type of matte, this one called Hush Hush, is like one of my favorite type of shades ever to use in my crease. It's that kind of a light mauve-y, maybe even with a slight undertone of lavender. I don't know, I really enjoy this. It's good. It's good. And then this shade Ballsy down here, it's fun. It's got like a light lavender base with flecks of gold in it. I've been kind of feeling more of the natural makeup lately. We'll see. We'll see how I do. And then lastly, to finish off the project, I'll try not to blind you. I'm gonna wipe the fingerprints off. This is the Milani, I'm trying not to blind you, the Milani Soft and Sultry palette. This one I picked up at TJ Maxx like months ago and then didn't really use much. So I'm excited to actually get some use out of it. These 2 shades look a bit crazy because the cat knocked them off my vanity and they broke. I just kind of lightly pressed it in there again. I didn't like fully repress it, but they seem to work just fine. So anyhow, I'm looking forward to using this. I know this palette is a lot of people's favorite. A lot of people mention how much they love this one. So I'm looking forward to finally figuring out my own thoughts about it. I've had it for a while and I still don't know. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you guys so much for staying with me throughout this entire project. It has been so much fun, and I admit now that this project is coming to a close, I only got a few weeks left of it. I am really looking forward to my next eyeshadow projects. I have 2 eyeshadow projects actually coming up. I cannot wait to share them with you guys. But anyway, in 3 weeks, I'll be back with my update for these 3 palettes in the finale episode. Once again, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye!